Good afternoon and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top story this hour. President Tinubu arrives in Brazil to attend 17th BRICS Summit for heads of state and government. 10 Niger soldiers killed, 15 wounded following double attack by suspected terrorists. And also coming up, U.S. President Trump signs tax and spending bill into law. Details coming up now. Welcome again. Now we begin by telling you that President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to attend the 17th BRICS Summit for heads of state and government. The summit brings together leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other emerging economies. Tinubu's plane landed Friday night at Calais Airport, Air Force Base, where he received a Guard of Honor. He was welcomed by Brazilian officials and will meet President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in a bilateral session before the main summit on July 6 and 7. Tinubu is expected to deliver an address on Nigeria's economic forums and meet the investors in agriculture, energy, and healthcare. The summit's theme focuses on inclusive global governance, climate change, and technology for Global South. To judicial matters now. The Federal High Court in Abuja has told the Nigerian Senate to recall suspended Kogi Central lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Delivering judgment in a suit challenging her suspension, the court found Akpoti-Uduaghan in contempt and directed her to pay a 5 million naira fine. Our judicial correspondent Joshua Imirai was in court and files in this report.
Justice Bintan Yaku of the Federal High Court in Abuja has delivered judgment in the case filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who challenged her 6-month suspension from the Nigerian Senate. While delivering the judgment, Justice Nyaku said the Senate can, and I believe should, recall the senator and allow her continue representing the people who sent her there. The judge also found Akpoti-Uduaghan in contempt of court for publishing a satirical apology letter addressed to the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. She was ordered to pay a 5 million naira fine. Counsel representing the Senate and the Senate President reacted to the ruling after the court session.
Speaking to the issue of contempt, the court held that it amounts to civil contempt and that the plaintiff is ordered to pay a fine of 5 million naira, to issue an apology to the court, and to have the said apology also published on the same medium within which the publication that offended the court was done.
The court only gave an opinion, an obiter dictum, what we call an obiter dictum, that the Senate should consider recalling her back. Although the reliefs are not stated, there's no question asking for suspension to be lifted because it occurred prior to the suspension. So it was more or less an obiter that she was of the view, my lord was of the view that the suspension was excessive.
Rights activist Aisha Yesufu also reacted to the judgment.
First of all, this morning coming to the court, the case was different from what we've seen before. People were stopped at the gate. It took a lot for them to even allow some of us to come inside. And of course, I wasn't inside the court. But from what you've heard the judgment. Well, I don't have issues with the court saying that the apology should be made to them. Well, the court has the right to do that as long as the apology is not to the Senate. Well, that's it. But on the other issue, where the judgment is that the Senate should recall her, how does that work?
With the court's ruling now on record, all eyes are on the Nigerian Senate to see its next course of action. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imirai.
And now, News Central correspondent Joshua Imirai joins us to further discuss this. Joshua, you're welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Joshua, let's start by asking if you can walk us through the key points of the Federal High Court regarding Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's recall.
Well, good afternoon to you, Mazino, once again. The fact is, the court alluded to the fact that the suspension was on the ground rules of the Senate and the Legislative Act. The Senate Standing Order 8 and the Legislative Act, Section 14, subsection 2 of the Legislative Act actually gave the Senate the right to suspend any senator who's found wanting of breaking a particular rule, procedure, or protocol. And particularly the reason why she was suspended was as a result of her outburst in the last time she was in the House, where she rose up to speak alluding to the fact that she was not on a particular seat that was appointed to her. And we must understand that the Senate President has the sole prerogative of appointing. At that particular point in time, that seat was not the allocated seat to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But the judge made some remarks. She said, I do not think that the Constitution envisaged this particular issue at hand, that is a 6-month suspension handed to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, and that this senator is expected to represent her people in a specific number of times per year, days per year particularly. And the Constitution states that the legislative year of each calendar year is 181 days, that is 36.2 weeks. And as regards that, she was suspended for 6 months, that is 180 days, that is almost 6 months. The judge then went further to say that the Senate should be specific, and should not be at large. That is, that the Senate rule can be specific in the number of years that they are to suspend a senator, that they can't suspend a senator for that lengthy time of almost a year of a legislative year, and that she believes that the Senate has the powers to revisit that particular section of the Constitution and revise them, as well as their standing order, and readjust them for the time being. Then she went further to say that to make a law that has no ending is excessive. That is the words of Justice Binta Nyako, that this particular law was excessive because the law states that the Senate can at will suspend any senator infinito. So it did not give a particular point, a particular timeline that a senator should be suspended. So she believes that that particular law was excessive. And she went further to say that, I'm quoting Justice Binta Nyako, I am of the opinion that the Senate has the powers to review the Senate rules and amend Section 14 sub 2 of the Legislative Act and the Senate order. She went further to say, now passing judgment on the case of her suspension, the Senate can, and I believe, recall the senator to allow her represent the people who sent her there. Now, there has been controversies if this particular words of the judge was an order, but I can confirm to you that the judge did not order anything because it was more or less an opinion. You heard the counsel representing the Senate presidency, so that it was more or less an opinion because she was of the opinion that the law can be adjusted, amended to give a specific time that you can suspend a senator. She now went further to say that she believes that the Senate can and we should recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to represent her people as soon as possible. And now of course, the Senate has started reacting to the that particular judgment, saying that that particular ruling does not mean that they will call her immediately. So we are expecting the Senate to react and maybe to act on what the judge has said at the last sitting.
Well, thank you for that clarification, because it would seem that most people think that she's being recalled immediately, but I think you've cleared that out. Let's talk about the issue about the fine, the 5 million naira fine that was imposed upon her. And also, how does the satirical letter that she wrote to the Senate play in here?
Well, you recall that Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan made a satirical post addressing the Senate president, that's the president of Godswill Akpabio, on Facebook. That particular post was brought to the notice of the court, and earlier on the court has issued a gag order saying that no social media post, no publication, press release or press addresses should be granted as regards this case. And the lawyer representing Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan came to the court and argued that this was not relating to, that is, the social media post was not relating to the case in court. However, the counsel representing the Senate president of the Senate argued that this was the main issue as regards how this issue came to be, that it was as a result of this sexual harassment allegation that breached the entire timeline of the legal battle that they had, and it's a particular reason, one of the particular reasons, the root causes of why this issue of a suspension is in court, where the judge, however, ruled that no one is above the law and that you cannot choose to obey a particular order of the court, that this is not a criminal procedure. If it was, she would have been sent to a correctional facility. So particularly, this is a civil procedure, and as regards that, she will be there will be remedy to that. And the remedy for her to be purged, to be purged of all this contempt is that she will pay a 5 million fine to the registrar of the courts, and she would publish an apology letter to the courts, not to the Senate President, to the courts. In that particular medium, she used to disseminate that particular satirical letter, and she would publish 2 apology letters in 2 national dailies addressing the court, not the President of the Senate. So that was the wisdom of the court, and they believe that it was employed in due course and in good faith.
Joshua, thank you very much for giving us the details to what happened in court. We will, of course, be, well, waiting for your report on this, or perhaps maybe invite you over on the news again. Thank you. Moving now to politics, the National Working Committee of the Social Democratic Party has inaugurated a 5-member panel to investigate allegations of constitutional breaches, financial misconduct, and diversion of party funds by the suspended national officers. The panel has been given 14 days to complete its investigation and submit its finding, after which the party says appropriate action will be taken. Our News Central's correspondent Aishat Salihu has more on this.
Following a resolution by the National Working Committee, the SDP suspended its national chairman, Shehu Gabam, the national auditor, Nadi Clarkson, and the national youth leader, Chukwuma Udechukwu. The decision came after what the party described as compelling evidence of misconduct. A disciplinary committee has now been constituted to investigate the matter in line with provisions in the party's constitution.
Section 19.3 make provision for various offences. And further down that section of 19, make provision for investigation, setting up of committee to find out what has gone on, and even make provision for an appeal by whoever is indicted.
Advise on better ways to manage the finances of SDP to prevent abuse and breach of the Constitution.
The committee must show decorum, dignity, and decency to the persons who appear before it and to one another. In discharging your duties, we implore you to be just and impartial. Let your findings speak for themselves.
Responding to concerns about delayed discovery and investigation, the NWC insists it was not complicit. Members say they were consistently excluded from financial dealings and lacked access to the party's financial records.
Me as a person, John SDP, we have not discussed financial matter once on the table. So because there is no finance. So ordinarily, if there is any, if anybody says there is any, let them provide evidence where finance was discussed in our minutes and recorded. These are the evidence you should be acting.
Questions have been asked. People in different positions have acted across various lines with futile results. It is until push came to shove that the NWC had to stand for posterity and integrity.
The need for a panel of inquiry became clear when it emerged that the suspended national chairman had allegedly submitted an unauthorized financial statement to INEC, an act the party says violated internal procedures and national regulations. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
Now, let's also tell you that human rights lawyer and activist Femi Falana says the newly enacted Lagos State Local Government Administration Law 2025 aligns with the constitutional principle and the Supreme Court's ruling on term limits. The new legislation, which repeals the 2015 Local Government Administration Law, introduces clear provisions on how a tenure of elected or successor chairman is calculated.
By virtue of Section 27, subsection 5 of the law, the question of unexpired term is another problem. Another one. If you complete the term of enemies who might have been removed by impeachment, resignation, or death, whoever takes over to complete the term will be deemed to have won the full term. That is the purport of sections 27 and section 28, section 27 subsection 5 and section 28 subsection 4 of the new law. So the controversy surrounding the terms of office of previous local government officials, particularly chairman, is no longer
There are also concerns from the Lagos State House of Assembly over Governor Sanwo-Olu's proposal to delay the implementation after his assent, a move Falana says is undemocratic.
It was only asked by the House, only asked by the House in line with the Constitution to assent to the bill, and they are so doing. So the day the governor assented to the bill, right? I mean, the law takes effect the very moment the governor assented to the bill. If the House had wanted it 3 months' time, the House will have so communicated in the law.
Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we've got more news coming your way inside the hour. Welcome back, and still talking politics from before. The reconciliation between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara is eliciting a wide range of reactions from politicians, civil society organizations and residents of River State. While some see the move as a new dawn of hope, others are still watching the political scene to gauge the sincerity and impact of the reconciliation. News Central's Biola Festus samples opinion and now reports.
The feud between suspended Governor Fubara and his political godfather began in 2023 over alleged accusations of high-handedness by FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and alleged attempts by Fubara to dismantle the minister's political structure. The feud rapidly escalated into political chaos, with lawmakers loyal to the FCT minister attempting to impeach the governor. The situation was exacerbated by arson attacks on the assembly complex and local government secretariats. Ultimately, both the governor and assembly members were suspended by the presidency. Although many political watchers had called for stability in the state, the recent peace deal between Wike and Fubara has received mixed reactions. For some residents, it signifies peace at last after a long period of political turmoil that had brought governance to a standstill.
Governor Wike and Governor Fubara, so they've reconciled. Oh, glory to Jesus, Amati. So does it mean that Governor Fubara is now going to his office again? Oh, thanks be to God. This is prayer answered. Even in my church, we have been praying that there must be peace.
It was really a setback to every person that is not only in River State, but also in our country. You understand? And I just hope other persons will learn from this. You understand? We're humans, one can make mistakes. Understand? But the beauty of it all is that both of them have been able to come together to reconcile. And that's what we're interested in. So there's going to be more opportunities for investment. People can now move freely. This rumor of Port Harcourt is not peaceful will come to an end.
Meanwhile, some other political gladiators are taking the peace pact with a pinch of salt.
Until I hear, with these my 2 ears, that suspension has been lifted, as unconstitutional as it is, that unconstitutional act, they apologize for it, and that therefore it's been lifted, and the state is put back in the hands of a Rivers man to run.
However, civil society organizations are questioning the basis for the reconciliation and demanding that the public be let in on the conditions.
That peace arrangement is in favor of reversible. If Governor Sim did not agree to the peace pact, the peace arrangements, how would he come and put in place the development activities he has already put in place? How can he come and finish them?
It's a lesson for you to know that in politics, there's no permanent enemy and permanent friend. So anytime you see two big people fighting and all, they don't need to take it personally. They don't need to take a side or any other thing. Just for you to continue preaching peace and see if both of them will reconcile. The way they reconcile now, you can see the atmosphere of everybody's happy.
While the people of River State continue to advocate for the restoration of democracy in the state, all eyes will be focused to see how far the truce between these political giants will help achieve peace. In Rivers for News Central, Biola Festus.
Now, the clamor for new state creation as well as more women representation at the National Assembly took the center stage at the Northeast Zonal Public Hearing on the review of Nigeria's 1999 Constitution held in Maiduguri in Borno State Capital. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report here.
A gathering that brought stakeholders across different political parties, ethnic and religious affiliations, among others. It's the Northeast Zonal Public Hearing on the 1999 Constitutional Review, with inputs from individuals, civil society organizations, political groups and traditional institutions, among others.
The 10th Senate constituted the Constitution Review Committee to tackle citizens' call for amendments to the Constitution.
We are here today to support the push of the reserved seats bill for women. We are supporting this bill because it's an inclusive bill.
There is no urgency in Nigeria's participation in the process of amending the Constitution will strengthen the validity of the Constitution and create a sense of ownership.
Representatives from various states in the Northeast geopolitical region made a strong case for the creation of new states, including Savannah out of Borno State, Katagum out of Bauchi State, Tangalawa and Highland out of Gombe State, and Amana out of Adamawa State, among others.
We came here as a delegation not to beg or just try to plead for the creation of Amana State. We are here to demand for the correction of a historical injustice.
The aspiration of Katagum has been the front runner for almost more than 3 decades. That is over 30 years ago. And we are very unanimous in the Senate.
The agitation for Korara State is a united agitation.
Concerns on electoral reforms, security reforms, including local government police, among others, were also on the front burner.
We unanimously disagree for moving the Nigerian Labour Congress industrial relations, industrial dispute and minimum wage from the executive legislative to concurrence list.
Several efforts have been made in the past to grant full independence to state legislature, but they have not yielded results.
We therefore need the sex to be scrapped and then give the powers of conducting elections in LGS to the Independent National Electoral Commission.
The Constitutional Review Committee acknowledged the widespread interest and pledged to compile and present the regional demands for necessary action. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Now security. The Federal Capital Territory Police Command says operations carried out in the last 2 months have led to the arrest of over 80 suspects linked to various crimes ranging from kidnapping and armed robbery to fraud, rape, and also child trafficking. According to Commissioner of Police, these arrests stem from a record of 49 criminal cases with areas such as Buari, Apple, and Kubwa identified as key locations where foiled, kidnap, and robbery attempts resulted in shootouts and armed recovery.
A visa syndicate was equally busted within this period. That was on the 3rd of May 2025. Acting on credible intelligence, the command raided an apartment at Aso Junction in Lube, where one Samuel Monday was arrested alongside 2 others. This guy have duped some innocent Nigeria to the tune of more than 30 million naira. 15 of the victims that they have been keeping in that custody were rescued, liberated. We've been able to recover some of their money while the suspect is currently awaiting trial. During the period under review, the command successfully foiled 5 separate armed robbery attempts. This operation took place across the area, 1 in Apple, 1 in Durumi, 4 in Kubwa area.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede has reaffirmed the military's commitment to strengthening civil-military relations and enhancing national security. Now, he made the statement at the Nigeria Army Cantonment in Jaji, Kaduna, during the commissioning of key community projects as part of activities marking the 162nd Nigerian Army Day celebration for 2025. News Central Chizobanyan with reports from Kaduna.
The 2025 Nigerian Army Day celebration, like those before it, serves to reflect on the Army's achievements while exploring new strategies to tackle emerging security challenges.
My resolve for sound administration of men and resources is encapsulated in my command philosophy, which aims to consolidate the transformation of the Nigerian Army towards bequeathing a well-motivated and combat-ready force that can effectively discharge its constitutional responsibilities within a joint and multi-agency environment.
Among the projects commissioned by the Chief of Army Staff is a renovated and remodeled multipurpose science laboratory at the Government Day Secondary School, Jaji. The facility now includes updated laboratory equipment, consumables, a generator set, a repaired and reticulated borehole, and fully furnished lab spaces.
This initiative also portrays the Nigerian Army's dedication to fostering the next generation of leaders and innovators. I urge you to maintain the facilities to enhance the educational well-being of the current students and prospective learners as envisaged by the Nigerian Army.
The gesture, officials say, reflects the Nigerian Army's ongoing efforts to strengthen its bonds with host communities through impactful, people-focused initiatives.
These efforts are made at strengthening cordial relationships between the Army and our local communities. In this wise, the Chief of Army Staff graciously approved 4 projects for this year's Nigerian Army celebration, of which this is renovated and remodeled equipped science multipurpose lab is one of them. Other projects are being commissioned simultaneously.
Beneficiaries of this project remain appreciative of this gesture.
I want to extend our proposed appreciation to the Nigerian Army headquarters for selecting Kaduna State as the host and venue for the 2025 NACEL celebration. So it is very relevant with the capital project we are enjoying today here at Government Day. It has transformed the teaching and learning of sciences, as you can all of us witness.
The Nigerian Army has also said that these events carried out here today isn't just a mark of their civil-military relations with the community members here, but also their contribution to the educational growth of the children of Jaji. In Kaduna State for News Central, Chizoba Anyomi.
In a bold push toward clean energy adoption and gender inclusion, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, in collaboration with Edo State Government and Lady Mechanics Initiative, has trained 50 female mechanics on compressed natural gas conversions in Edo State. News Central's Amanze Bazwaye reports that the program, hosted at the Edo State Government House, is being hailed as a milestone for women in the automotive industry.
Prices soaring and emissions rising, Nigeria's shift to compressed natural gas (CNG) is gaining momentum. Industry data shows that CNG reduces fuel costs by almost 50% and cuts carbon emissions by at least 30%. Benefits the Nigerian government is keen to harness in its transition plan. In Edo State, a new gender-responsive intervention is brewing. 50 female mechanics have been empowered with technical skill of petrol to CNG vehicle conversion. The week-long program themed CNG Conversion, a new horizon for women in the automotive industry, marks the first specialized training of its kind targeting women in Nigeria.
Edo State is setting a standard that I am afraid no other state will be able to beat. I am also one who profusely supports empowerment of women. And when women are doing great things, it is very important for us to encourage them.
This training is more than just a technical exercise. It represents a beacon of hope for our women, especially for those in the automotive sector.
This initiative is technically and economically feasible because Nigeria is naturally a low
with abundance of natural gas deposits.
The Edo State Commissioner for Education urged participants to seize the opportunity and excel in their newfound skill.
This is very symbolic because you are being empowered in a field that is male-dominated. We are giving you a platform where your knowledge will meet skill, and the skill meets opportunity.
The closing ceremony featured goodwill messages from commissioners of various ministries, heads of MDAs, and other dignitaries in attendance.
Every good thing starts in the state, it starts in Benin. And this is because we have a governor that likes and believes in the potentials of women to rescue and calling.
I want to thank the governor for giving us this opportunity, and also I want to thank NADDC for giving us this privilege, because I really learned more about CNG, how to convert petrol to gas.
I want to tell you all the girlies, all the females out there, you should encourage yourself, summon courage, and do what will give you money.
The 50 newly trained women are now part of Nigeria's Green Revolution, equipped not just with tools, but with the power to lead change in the automotive industry. In Edo State, for News Central, Ameze Bazwaye.
To the energy sector now. The federal government has scheduled a national stakeholder forum for July 23rd and 24th, 2025 to address rising concerns over petrol prices and supply in Nigeria's downstream sector. The summit, organized by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, will gather industry operators, marketers, refiners, and officials to discuss pricing standards, feedstock adequacy, and also strategies for market stability. NMDPRA Executive Director Francis Ogari confirmed the dates during the 24th Nigeria Oil and Gas Energy Week, stressing the need for dialogue to build a resilient post-subsidy pricing system. The forum follows mounting agitation from marketers and unions over volatile pump prices and calls for transparency, fair pricing, and improved supply security as Nigeria's refining capacity expands. Coming up, opposition parties in Togo urge authorities to postpone municipal elections scheduled for July 17 following deadly anti-government protests. We'll bring you more details after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now in Niger, 10 soldiers have been killed and 15 wounded following a double attack by suspected jihadists near the western border with Burkina Faso. The coordinated assaults hit the villages of Bulundujuga and also Samira in Gutei department. Defense Minister General Silifu Modi, speaking on national television, said the army responded forcefully, killing 41 of the attackers described as mercenaries. The region near Mali and Burkina Faso is a long-time hotspot for extremist violence. Samira is also home to Niger's only industrial-scale gold mine. In May, 8 workers from the mine died when their vehicle struck a roadside bomb. The attacks come as Niger, ruled by a military junta, continues its struggle against armed groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. In Togo, 2 opposition parties and several civil society groups are urging authorities to postpone municipal elections scheduled for July 17, following deadly anti-government protests. The National Alliance for Change and Democratic Forces for the Republic condemned what they called brutal repression by security forces. At least 7 people have been killed, dozens injured, and over 60 arrested in recent protests sparked by electricity price hikes, arrests of critics, and a controversial constitutional reform. Campaigning for the elections began Tuesday. Rights groups Amnesty International has called for an independent investigation into alleged killings, torture, and kidnappings by security forces. Protesters and activists are now demanding accountability and a halt to the vote amid growing political unrest in the West African nation. Guinea's major opposition party is taking legal action after the ruling junta blocked its planned Congress. The Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea, or UFDG, says it is appealing to the Supreme Court after authorities ordered it to suspend this weekend's leadership gathering in Conakry. The Interior Minister claims the party failed to meet deadlines and changed its agenda, but UFDG urges, or rather argues, the ban violates political freedoms. Guinea's military government, in power since 2021, has faced growing criticism for repressing opposition voices and silencing the media. Though General Mamadi Doumbouya pledged elections by 2024, no vote has occurred. A constitutional referendum is now set for September, with elections possibly in December, but political tensions remain high. World wrap now. U.S. President Donald Trump signed his landmark tax and spending bill into law on Friday during a patriotic Independence Day ceremony at the White House. Surrounded by cheering Republican lawmakers, Trump called it one big beautiful bill as he signed the legislation with his signature Sharpie marker. The bill, a key part of Trump's economic agenda, includes major tax cuts and increases in federal spending. Republican leaders hailed it as a victory for American workers and businesses. The event was filled with pomp and celebration, reflecting the administration's push to frame the bill as a historic win ahead of upcoming elections. Critics, however, have warned of growing deficits and also questions who benefits most from the tax cuts. At least 6 people are dead and more than 20 girls are missing after flash flooding struck South Central Texas early on Friday. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said floodwaters rose rapidly in Kerr County, with the Guadalupe River surging 26 feet in just 45 minutes. Around 23 girls from Camp Mystique, a summer camp along the river, are still unaccounted for. Emergency teams are continuing search and rescue efforts in the area. The region was hit by intense flooding overnight and also rainfall, causing sudden and severe flooding. Authorities are urging residents to stay away from flooded areas and follow safety advisories.
That number changes, and the one thing I've learned in this position over many disasters that Governor Abbott or I have had to cover, the first news is always not the correct news. And you always pray for it being better. But I'm not going to give exact numbers, but we don't have exact numbers, but somewhere between 6 and 10 bodies have been found, some in cars that were washed down upstream that came down into the area. Some are adults, some are children. Again, we don't know where those bodies came from, and was it from a camp? Was it from one of the many homes that are all along the Guadalupe River? We just obviously don't know that at this time. Camp Mystic is a camp that has over 750 kids. Right now, there are 20-some that aren't accounted for. That does not mean they've been lost. They could be in a tree. They could be out of communication. We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive.
Business now. Nigerian banks have reinstated the use of Naira-denominated debit cards for international payments after a prolonged suspension caused by forex pressures. GT Bank, UBA, Wema Bank, Stanbic IBTC and others now allow cross-border transactions with spending limits. GT Bank introduced a $1,000 quarterly limit covering online, POS and ATM usage. UBA reopened access for premium cardholders, including gold, platinum, and world variants. Wema Bank also enabled dollar payments on global platforms like Amazon and Netflix. The move marks renewed confidence in Nigeria's FX liquidity and is expected to ease cross-border payments challenges for individuals and also businesses. Ethiopia has announced it will soon start natural gas extraction and also supply. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced this at the 42nd session of the House of People's Representatives. The move follows agreements to establish gas production plants and resolve earlier permit and bureaucratic hurdles. The House also approved a 1.93 trillion budget for 2025-26, with 1.2 trillion for recurrent costs and 415 billion for capital projects. Economic highlights included 4.5 million jobs created, a road network expanded to 175,000 kilometers, and ongoing infrastructure projects worth 1.5 trillion birr, including 11,000 kilometers of new roads under construction. It's going a short break now, just before sports. We'll be back. Welcome now, sports. Nigeria Super Falcons have released their official squad numbers ahead of their opening match at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Star forward Asisat Oshoala will wear the number 8 jersey, while team captain Rashidat Ajibade retains her number 15 shirt. Goalkeeper Chiamaka Nadozie is set to don number 16, and midfielder Christy Ochiebe will wear the prestigious number 10. Defenders Osinachi Ohale, Ashley Pumptree, and also Oluwatosin Dimehi will wear numbers 3, 5, and 14 respectively. The Falcons begin their Group B campaign against Tunisia on Sunday at the Labri Zaouli Stadium in Casablanca. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has rewarded Nasarawa Amazons Football Club with 85 million naira and a new Toyota Hiace bus for their standout 2024-25 season. At a ceremony in Lafia, 30 million naira was allocated to the Amazons, with 25 million naira for players and 5 million naira for coaches. The team finished second in the Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership and also claimed silver in the President Federation Cup. Individual honors went to Janet Akekehuru as NWFL MVP and Shobowale Oshoala as Cup MVP. The governor praised the team's performance and reaffirmed support for sports development in the state, solidifying Nasarawa's growing influence in Nigerian women's football. Nigeria's Paul Onuachu has sealed a permanent move to Tunisia. That's the Turkish Super, a permanent move to Turkish Super League side Trabzonspor, from Southampton in a 5.6 million euro deal. Onuachu impressed with 17 goals in 25 games during a loan spell last season, prompting the club to secure his service permanently. His transfer marks a significant loss for Southampton, who initially paid 18 million euros for the striker in January 2023, but saw limited returns. Now 31, Onuachu is expected to spearhead the club's attack under coach Fatir Teke, as the club eyes a stronger league campaign after finishing third last season. His first match is scheduled against Koka Lisbon on August 11. Now, Liverpool FC players and officials arrived in Gondomar, Portugal on Saturday for the funeral of forward Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva, who died in a car crash in Spain on July 3rd. Close family and friends and stars of the world of football are gathering for the funeral just 48 hours after the fatal accident. Fans also gathered at Anfield Stadium laying flowers, red balloons, and handwritten notes in tribute to the 28-year-old. The tragic deaths have sent shockwaves through the football world, with tributes pouring in globally for the beloved Liverpool striker and his brother. Now, British number 1 Emma Raducanu's Wimbledon run ended in the third round after a hard-fought 7-6, 6-4 loss to world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka on center court. Raducanu, who's 22, pushed the three-time Grand Slam champion to the brink in a high-quality match, saving 7 set points before losing the first set's tiebreak. Despite leading 4-1 in the second set, the former U.S. Open champion was unable to maintain her momentum as Sabalenka rallied. The top seed advanced to face 24th seed Elise Mertens in the fourth round. Raducanu's defeat leaves no British women in the single draw, though her performance showed signs of resurgence ahead of the 2024 Paralympic and hard court season. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories brought your way. President Tinubu arrives in Brazil to attend 17th BRICS summit for heads of state and government. And 10 Niger soldiers killed, 15 wounded following double attack by suspected terrorists. We also told you that US President Trump signs tax and spending bill into law. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.